Welcome back to the Geodesign Games. Now we're going to talk about how we make a move during the game. So before the game starts, we encourage you to bring some maps and ideas that you have. If you don't have any, that's fine. We have prepared some for you. But for example, if I'm interested in the power grid problem that happened in Texas, most recently, I want to investigate how the power infrastructure has been set up continentally. Then I'm going to bring a map like what we're looking at, and you can see how the eastern half of the United States has a powerful network, Eastern interconnection, that is actually a network of networks because it has all these smaller networks that are connected together into a larger network. And the Western interconnection actually is a one single network that stretches from as far north as Canada, close to Alaska, down to the border with Mexico. In contrast, we have three small networks, ERCOT for the Texas interconnection, and the Quebec interconnection, and the Alaska interconnection. So these are three different types of configurations that might present different level of resilience in relation to space weather events. For example, when an extreme solar storm hits, if it happens to hit ERCOT, the impact will be limited within the boundary of ERCOT. But if it hits the Western interconnection, then it's going to have the snowball effect. It's going to impact a much bigger area. However, if it happens to the Eastern interconnection, the impact will be confined within a single network instead of spreading across multiple networks to impact a much larger area. So the most resilient form of infrastructure is actually a network of networks, so that you can isolate the impact that's not desirable, or you can exchange the flows across different networks to form a larger network to build redundancy into the system. So if we're looking at this in relations to the flooding scenarios that we presented to you earlier, and thinking about another type of network that could provide energy, then one possible intervention prototype is to tap into the right-of-ways of the high-speed rail lines that have been proposed, and think about ways to harvest energy from the movement of high-speed rail lines by embedding piezoelectric sensors into the tracks so that the movement from the rail lines will then be captured and converted into energy. And also we're addressing flooding issues, thinking about flood conveyance and being able to capture rainwater to recharge groundwater tables. So combining the right-of-way of high-speed rail lines with canals seem to be a resilient strategy. So you could come with whatever image you have. If you don't have any, we have some for you. And you can just label what you would like to have as your intervention. Our students can help you put all this together. And then to kind of situate the intervention within a map in relation to the flooding scenarios, we use what's called the SWOT analysis. So the flooding scenarios are the witnesses and the threats presented by the different locations that we're looking at. And then we could potentially look at projects that are coming up, or these could be what you're proposing as locations for intervention. So if I'm thinking about high-speed rail lines as intervention, and I'm looking at what has been planned as possible routes or networks of high-speed rail lines. So then I found this map. You could bring a map like this for your intervention, and our students can eliminate the backgrounds and make it transparent so we can composite them. we also have geographic information system files, shape files that we can use during the Geodesign games. You can turn those on and off. We can also add those to the Geodesign Hub if you would like to give us images of maps and shape files in advance of the workshops. And then I want to look at also where there's existing space infrastructure destinations because I'm interested in potentially allowing people to proactively relocate to safer areas from those flood zones, or to be able to facilitate emergency evacuation from those flood zones. And since a large part of the eastern United States will be flooded, we know that there's a lot of population that we will need to accommodate. So thinking about outer space as a possible relocation destination is one strategy to accommodate a large influx of migrants. So then I want to really look at these existing spaceports as possible strengths that I can build upon. So you can bring a map like this, and then our students can take out the backgrounds for you, and then you can begin to composite these maps either within Geodesign Hub or offline. We can also use GIS shapefiles in that case. So here you can see how a lot of the spaceport locations are along the high-speed rail line that has been planned. And then I now have my strengths and opportunities presented together. I want to kind of investigate them in relations to these flooding scenarios as weaknesses and threats. So you can see how most of the spaceports, unfortunately, will be impacted by these flooding scenarios. And there's only one that is potentially safe, the Colorado Air and Spaceport. However, it's located within the flood-prone explosion areas and just outside of the rapid sea level impact zone. And almost all the routes that have been proposed for high-speed rail lines are within the impact zone of those extreme flooding scenarios. So this compositing exercise then gives me some idea of where might be safe as a possible proactive relocation destination. So this is kind of the zone I want to hone in on. And then we could sort of make it a multi-scalar exercise and continue to zoom in to find other factors that we might need to consider. I will see you in the next video.